Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramona, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. I am so excited to have you join us today. This podcast is dedicated to exploring the idea of doing business and living life with a purpose of servant's heart. Imagine making a difference every day in somebody's life. And boy, my guest is going to talk to you about something very cool that I do that a lot of you can do so easily and be a servant's heart to yourself and to others. We also developed this show to motivate you, inspire you, and educate you through our guest. And again, those three we're going to hit big time, and that's going to impact your world. Here's your call to action while you listen to this great guest. Who are you going to serve today? How are you going to serve yourself? And what impact you'll create today? And that keyword is today. And my guest, I'm sure, will talk about how we wait to do things, we buy things, and then it goes away. Start doing stuff today. Take action, because it really is worth it. Today's episode is sponsored by Pantheon Alliance. Join a community of high-income entrepreneurs and business leaders to create a world-changing thought leader platform to help grow your business. For more information on that, just reach out to me and I'll get you all that information. With that being said, we're going to talk about real estate investing for everybody. This is not just for high-end, highly successful people. My guest teaches you the 8 to 5er that's making your hourly wage or your salary. But guess what? You can own real estate and really change your life. Let's welcome to the show, Zach. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to this, Steve.
It's something that people talk themselves out of it. 95%, I can't afford it. I can't afford to do it. How do you help to say when somebody says that? How do you help them?
Yeah, interesting enough, because I was a bartender and personal trainer and really, honestly, no financial background, as I grew up with a single mother who was a cashier at Lowe's. When somebody told me about getting involved in real estate, I felt the exact same way. But lucky enough, I ended up partnering up with my father-in-law, actually, who got crushed in 2008. And he was utilizing these new strategies that, is quite popular now today. And that's called buying and selling on terms, or utilizing creative financing. So all that simply means is that you can go out there and buy real estate without large down payments, without personally guaranteeing debt or using your own credit, and without going to a bank. And if you can eliminate those three things, then of course, Steve, that means that anybody, if they're willing to invest in their time and invest into a skill set, because that's honestly, in my space in real estate, it's really a skill set in which you learn. You can then go out there and buy any type of real estate that you choose to, given the fact that you're willing to dedicate your time and skill set to making that happen.
Part-time. I'm 8 to 5. I want to do this part-time. It's still achievable.
Oh, for sure. It's like 90% of our community members, and we built a community of real estate investors. Typically, they're either new or seasoned. So we have the green ones, investors have never bought a single property in their entire life. And they see these strategies as a way to get involved because there's a really high upsell and, a really, high up and then, but a low, really a low ability to lose your shirt because, we're not typically investing in a lot of capital or investing by utilizing our own credit or going to a bank. Or you have the seasoned investors right now that are right now trying to buy real estate, but the numbers just don't work. Or as people say, the math isn't mathing, because you have high interest rates, which means that you have to put down significantly more money onto a property in order for it to cash flow. So a lot of people are utilizing our strategies to go out there and build or scale up their current real estate business. So it doesn't honestly matter what market you're in, what skill set you have, what job you have. If you're, again, willing to learn this new skill set, then you have the ability to go out there and buy some real estate.
Yeah, and the ROI is huge because I'm an investor, as I told you before the show. I have a duplex. Talk about that, because like the tax, I mean, there's so much, but talk about that because I see it and it's unbelievable.
Yeah, there's a reason why most millionaires are made through real estate. Because in theory, right? Because real estate operates in cyclical markets, that as long as you hold on to the property long enough, then you're going to make money off of it. That's why even if you bought, during 2008, the likelihood that property is worth a lot more, even if it went through the crash, because it went down to roughly a third. My father-in-law used to always say, like, hey, even if I lost all my money in real estate, the value of that property is never going to go down to zero, but the stock market can, right? So no matter what, as long as you are buying the properties correctly and you have multiple exit strategies, then you should be able to find success in real estate. Now, the cool thing about what we do is the way we acquire them is creative, but then we sell on rent to own. And this is really where the servant heart comes into play, because if you're somebody that's interested in serving an underserved market, then and to be able to profit from greatly, this is the strategies that we use, which are working with buyers that need time to qualify for bank loans, because it's roughly 60 to 80% of the market out there can't qualify for a bank loan for various reasons. And that is, we are at an all-time high in credit card debt, which means that people's credit's in the crapper. You have high interest rates, which means that the normal ability for somebody to buy a property and having a decent debt to income ratio is a bit of a challenge. And then, of course, you have an affordability issue with people out there, that properties have continued to skyrocket. And even if you could afford a property 24 months ago, you necessarily can't afford a property today in the bank standard way. Yeah. And then, of course, you have all these entrepreneurs out there that you need time for seasoning. Banks won't lend to you unless you show a certain amount of income for a certain period of time. Mm-hmm. There's this massive pool of buyers out there that just need time to qualify for bank loan. Now, the cool thing about this is, so now we as investors can go buy a piece of property today, even at retail value, and still be able to make profits on this deal. And what that says is, hey, if you're interested in getting involved in real estate investing, but you don't necessarily want to like beat somebody up on price consistently, right? Yeah. Or only count on the ability to buy a property at a certain price point, then our strategies are really open up the market. So that's how we really are able to help out a ton of people. And because we're able to sell on rent to own, we call this our federally trademarked 3 payday system, which is, because we're selling on rent to own, we get a large non-refundable deposit, so we get money in our pocket today. We then create cash flow, so we create that passive income, and then we're also building in equity over time, so that in the future we're able to get a nice chunk of change as well. So this is why the average American that's working a 9 to 5 or an 8 to 5 or 8 to 10, whatever the heck it is nowadays, has the ability to get involved in this type of real estate. Because it's not that you need a ton of real estate deals to eclipse your salary to be able to retire, but you don't have to worry about management of an asset, because you're selling it on rent to own and the people are treating it like it's their own home. So you can more or less kind of set it and forget it, and only have to revisit that property if they either default or if they're ready to cash out.
Yeah, and the 30,000 overhead view I'm looking at, this is not something you can go to Google, go type in, I want to rent to own investment. That's where you come in, and your great company to walk people through this, right? Yeah,
exactly. Because we always operate with the end in mind, right? So if you have this giant pool of buyers, well, now how do we service those buyers? Now we backtrack and we say, okay, now how do we buy real estate in such a way that allows us to still be profitable and then be able to serve these buyers? Now, we buy them in a couple different ways. And really there's about 4 different strategies, but to make it really simple, we simply either buy properties that have a lot of equity in them, and we have the sellers finance them for us. They become the bank. Now, most people ask, like, why would they do that? Well, because there's a lot of people out there that own a lot of assets, but want the best price and want cash flow without managing them. And then on like the opposite extreme, we buy a lot of real estate deals that have no equity in them, but they have really good terms on the debt. Over the past 5 years, or let's say 3 to 5 years, bank loans are averaging somewhere between 2.25, right, all the way up to say 5.25. Well, those terms of those loans that banks have written are a lot better than today's current terms, which are like 6.5 to say 8% at a commercial type property. And the reason why those terms are so good is because those terms still allow us to cash flow. Like those still make sense in regards to rents. So by buying those types of properties and helping people out of a financial hardship, we now have the opportunity to still go sell it and make money, where most real estate investors right now either have to raise a lot more capital than they're used to raising, which eliminates a lot of people that want to get involved in real estate because most people don't want to go raise money. It's a scary scenario for most people, especially if it's the first time they've ever done it. So then you have to go raise a lot more money, and then a lot of the deals don't work out well in regards of cash flow. So now all of a sudden now you're stuck, and that's why people don't invest in real estate.
A dead house is a dead house. You can't. I mean, you can bring it back to life, but it's harder. So you're leveraging in a good way. I mean that word in a service way, the buyer, and coming in and kind of saving them in a sense. And it's probably the wrong word, but
yeah. Well, both ends, right? That's why I said this is more of like a skill set. But when we look at our real estate, I always say like this is a people business. We just happen to buy real estate. So, and I know we've all heard, and typically in sales settings, like what's their motivation? What are they struggling with, or what's the positive? So we always focus on, we start with the seller side and we focus on the motivation. How can I solve this seller's problem? And that's what I was saying, like we operate on two very different spectrum. One is they have a real estate problem. They've either inherited it or they're debt free, or they're just paying taxes. They have this real estate and maybe they're not also be able to sell it for the price they want. So they're sitting on it, but they're not in financial hardship. They just have a real estate problem. So that's one challenge. So we can tend to solve that by giving them their price, right? And then taking it over and have them be the bank. And then you have the complete opposite side, which is a majority of the deals that we're dealing with like right now and today is this financial hardship, which is people bought all these houses over the past 18 to 36 months because of the interest rate, not because of the price. So there's not a lot of equity in properties right now. Or the taxes have been raised 3 or 4 times now because now everything's going through assessment. And now somebody that was used to paying a $1,500 mortgage payment now is paying $2,200, and they can't afford it anymore. That's a big difference. So now we're taking over these properties, and they call this buying it subject to the existing loan. But we're taking over these properties, and we're keeping that good debt on the property, and we're making payments on that seller's behalf. So that way we can improve. That way we can take over this property and don't have to get new debt, which still allows it to be a profitable house. So we're really just operating in this creative strategy. So if creativity or you don't like being bored, then this is definitely a strategy for you for sure.
Yeah.
And then we know that we have this giant pool of buyers. So once we acquire the property, now we can go market it on rent to own. So we're buying it creatively and selling it creatively.
Yeah, it's so powerful. You said community, and I love that you said that because the servant's heart, it's important. Talk about the community you have. I'm sure it's all these investors and what you guys do.
Yeah, our community we built over the past, it's going to be a decade now, which is pretty crazy to think that we started out with like 3 students. And the reason why we started off with 3 students, actually go back even further, there was one student, he was leaving the Navy and he was looking and he heard that we were doing good real estate deals. So he reached out to my partner and said, hey, I'm trying to get, acclimated to regular life. So he's like, I'd love to learn this strategy. So we started teaching him, and then we presented to another audience, and all of a sudden we got our first like 3 to 5 students, and now it's grown to a couple hundred people across the country. But the big difference with our community, and we call them the Wicked Smart community at Smart Real Estate Coach, is that we literally get in the trenches with them to help them do their real estate deals for a certain period of time. So it is really all about immersing them, although it may be part-time, but immersing them as much as possible with experience and with that skill set, so that way we can help them advance in buying real estate deals more quickly, and make sure that they're making better real estate decisions. I heard an astounding stat. There was like less than 4% of real estate professionals actually like find success or do their first deal in real estate, which is insane. So we focus really heavily on that, so that way we can literally be in their community, in the trenches with them, overseeing and helping them structure the deals appropriately, so that way they can reach their own financial goals. Because our purpose here at Smart Real Estate Coach is to empower individuals and families to create the life of their dreams. So we start with the student, and then what's crazy is then it affects the seller's life when they buy the property, then it affects the buyer's life when they sell the property. So now you're really creating about 3 wins every single time we put together one of these deals.
Yeah, a triple win is better than a double win all day, all night. I think in my math, it shows that. What does somebody listening or the audience listening, who's an ideal student in Wicked?
Yeah.
Or is there one? I mean, what would you be looking for? What would they be looking for?
Yeah, great question. So when I look at people that join our community and that find success, we really focus on 3 main components, and then I'll talk about who these people are. Our genius model is mindset, skill set, and systems, because we believe if we can affect the mindset first, because you're never gonna outpace your mindset with your income. So we got to focus on that, and especially because most people that join our community are green real estate investors, and this may be their first business that they've created, and we got to really overcome a lot of paradigms, behaviors, and instill a lot of that in regards to becoming an entrepreneur and a business owner. So mindset, and then the skill set, and then we got to build upon all the skill set with the seller side, the buyer side, and then of course eventually controlling your portfolio, and then inserting the right system, so that way we can help you go from solopreneur to CEO of your business. And whether that means you do a deal a year, or whether that means you want to do 100 deals in the next couple of years, right? Depending on how you want to scale that, we can help you in each one of those aspects. Yeah. So when I look at our ideal client, or the ideal person that we believe we're going to find success with, is somebody that's committed, disciplined, certainly is not afraid of the phone, even though a lot of people are when they first join our community, but is willing to grow and learn. Those are the main things. And then of course, having the ability to invest some time and some resources into your business. And it doesn't have to be a great amount, but enough where you don't need money like you need water, so that way we can really teach you that aspect. So a lot of people that join our community, they could have been in sales, right, at some point in time, but instead of picking up the phone and selling somebody else's product, they're now like, hey, how do I build my own real estate business? What else is kind of crazy is engineers. We have a lot of engineers in our community, which is, and you would think it's the opposite, right? But I think that they're enthralled by the ability to like stack deals on top of each other and become what we call like a transaction engineer, which is really just looking at all the moving pieces and solving a problem here and then creating profits here. So we tend to see a lot of those entrepreneurs. But at the end of the day, we work really well with somebody that's eventually looking to and is committed to leaving their W-2 job, because then we can really help them build up and then show them where to hire and then really be able to scale.
You know, what's interesting as you're talking, Zach, is you're actually building an entrepreneurship. So if they want to go out and start, I don't know why I'm thinking cannabis, but a cannabis company, let's say, sure, your skill set you're teaching, they can do that.
For sure. Oh yeah. We've seen a handful of our students go off and create other businesses. At the end of the day, we've had a lot of people come to our community when they were looking for a franchise, right? They're like, oh, I want to go buy a business. And then all of a sudden they came across, they were like, wow, so you get money now, you get monthly income, and you build equity. Plus we have an asset that we can depreciate. Plus we're buying these properties with a lot less money than you were traditionally. And you're serving this rent to own model. Like they started to come together and see, wow, so this is a really viable business model that I can build out. And then it's also could be a launching platform to eventually, especially those that are looking to really become long-term real estate investors. Well, now you have the skill sets, so you can go do multifamily or commercial, or if you want to go do other strategies like you were talking offline, like the hempcrete business, like you're now designing a business, and you can now take those skills and go build something else as well. And
that is so cool, because that's not done a lot. And we have to look at what you guys do or what anybody does. And I always say Warren Buffett would love what you do. because I've read so much Warren Buffett. Diversify, diversify, diversify. And that's what you're doing in a sense, real estate or some other things, right?
For sure. Yeah. And I use Warren Buffett's quote all the time. He always says that the best investments have the lowest amount of entry, or, the least amount of risk, right? With the highest amount of ROI. And that's what our deals have consistently proven, that if you can get into good deals with a lot less money, and like 90% of our deals are no money. If you can get into those deals and buy an asset with little to no money, and then you have the ability to sell it, well, now your opportunities, you have a significantly higher return on investment, and the lowest downside is you're gonna with no money or little money, so the risk is a lot less. So huge opportunity when it comes to these creative deals.
Great minds think alike. I'm not shocked you brought up Warren Buffett, because an audience, if he's mentioning Warren Buffett, he's doing the right thing, because that's a guy you want to definitely follow. We're coming to the end here. I gotta ask, bartender, personal fitness to a real estate mogul, it's a crazy bridge. I know your father-in-law got you started, but what inspired you to do that?
Yeah, real estate mogul. That's I appreciate that.
You're
Maybe
welcome.
one day I'll plant that name.
That flag. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's why, like, you can't see it, but I have a lot of the old pictures of the old the Rockefeller building, and then over here I have JP Morgan Chase, the original building as well. I'm a big history buff and love to study like the old Titans and things like that as well. So one day I'd love to be named around some of those guys. I was sure
have your building up there, Zach Beach's building. I love it. There you go.
What really inspired me was when I was a kid growing up, I noticed that there was two groups of people that had the most amount of money in my town. You have the entrepreneurs in the real estate and people that I knew owned real estate, and then you had the corporate people. I never saw myself going corporate. I wasn't, as I tell people now, I'm like unemployable. Unless a good partnership. I'm good with a good partnership, but unemployable. So as I kind of grew up, I kind of had that in my mind that I need to figure out a way to be an entrepreneur. So when I had the opportunity to look at real estate deals, and I went to my father-in-law and just said, "Hey, I'm getting super burnt out over here. I'd love to try something new. I know you're getting started and revamping this business coming out of 2008, and I don't know if I'm gonna be good at it, but it's gonna be better than what I'm doing." So really started from the ground up, and I think what really caught fire was that I really got involved in personal development. Found a lot of strength with Bob Proctor. Still listen to him every day for about 15 to 20 minutes, all of his old stuff, as it just keeps me in the right mindset. And I think I started to get really hungry in regards of making personal progress. And real estate has kind of been that vehicle where, went from making cold calls to then structuring the deals to then running a team to do deals to then, being a part of the decision-making process around the portfolios to then coaching to then running the coaching company and, also running my own portfolio. So it's just entrepreneurship. There's nothing better because you can always reach for that next level and you don't have to wait for somebody else's approval of saying, "Hey, you get a promotion." Instead, you go out there and you make it happen. And I think I just found that lane in real estate. Could I have found the lane in other places? Potentially, if some influences in my life were in other places, but I'm grateful that I found real estate and plan on being in it for a very long time.
Your story's powerful because you took action, you did it. You didn't, oh my God, you started from scratch, but you went out and found mentors. Like if an audience out there, if you're somebody that's a personal trainer, bartender, life insurance agent, and want to grow and scale, one thing, hire these guys. Two, follow his story. We're coming to the end here, and real quick, I love acquire greatness that's above your right shoulder. We all want to be great, but the acquire part's so important because you've got to work at it. It's just like Steve, Ramona, Zach, you guys are going to be great. No, just look at any sports athlete and you could do that. So I love that side. Audience, keep that in mind, acquire greatness. So let's end a little improv, a little fun question here. So I've got a reservation at a restaurant, table of 4. You're, of course, in one chair. Who would you invite in the other 3 chairs, dead or alive? Why would you invite them? And what food would you order?
All right. Well, interesting enough, we were talking about offline about Richard Branson. He was at the top of my list for sure. I'm currently listening to his book. I'm listening to Elon Musk's book as well.
Yeah.
Well, definitely Bob Proctor. I would say Richard Branson. I'm like quickly going through my like recent books. No one else is really great. I love the way he speaks. 50 Cent. I would definitely have him at my table as well. If you haven't listened to his book, that guy is brilliant.
Okay, then.
I get one. What was that? That was three, right? So I'm at a table
That
of
was
four.
3.
So those are my 3.
What are we eating?
What are we eating? Good question. I'm a big sushi fan. Love sushi. I think it also helps you like bond, like sushi and some drinks, because you usually just it's not like you're constantly eating a lot of foods. You can like talk consistently, have a couple drinks, chat business, and yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. Great finger foods are always the best. That way you could, talk and listen all at the same time. You're right. Sushi would be a good one. I didn't even think about that. Well, Zach, I got to thank you. I just met you today, but I'm extremely impressed in my 63 years seeing a guy like you and your partner doing something so great. Yeah, you're building an empire business. You want it to be big, but you're also serving your community and the people that are part of it. So how can people who are listening go, I want to reach out to Zach? How can they connect with you?
Yeah, let's make sure they get access to our first Amazon best-selling book. We'll give it to you absolutely for free. We'll ship it out to you. Also, if you go ahead and just drop your information when I give you this link, you'll get on our list as well, so you can see all the events that we're running and things like that if you want to tap in. And it's just wickedsmartbooks.com/Steve Ramona. That's wickedsmartbooks.com/Steve Ramona. Go ahead and grab it. You don't have to go to Amazon. I mean, feel free to do so, but we might as well give it to you for free. So go ahead and grab it, fill in that information, and we'll ship it out to you.
And wickedsmart.com, they could go there too. If there's a contact page, they want to reach out and learn more about the community, they could do that.
The main website is smartrealestatecoach.com. That's
Okay,
Smart
there we
Real
go.
Estate Coach. We're from New England, so you got Wicked Smart.
I knew there was something. I was being in California. I knew I was hearing something. Let's see, the guest should always correct the host because we need always help. But so say that website one more time.
Smartrealestatecoach.com.
Perfect. Super easy. Zach, thanks again. This has been a brilliant show. I really appreciate it. And audience, here's your call to action at the end. I love podcasts for a reason that a lot of people don't talk about is subscribe to the YouTube channel. You have a list of all my podcasts. But if you listen to this and you're thinking about, hey, I just talked to my cousin at a Christmas party. We're near Christmas. He was talking real estate. Take this link of Zach, share it with him, and go, hey, this guy's rock star, man. He's killing it in real estate, and he coaches people. You know what happens? That person listens to it and goes, I want to talk to Zach. What a great gift. And he goes and becomes part of Zach's community. And guess what? He starts buying homes and he's super successful. Now he's got retirement money. You gave that gift to him. So I'll use the podcast links for that. And I say subscribe because it's easy to find these podcasts. You could be able to share it. The other call to action is comment on the YouTube channel. This will come out in a couple of days. If it's a comment for Zach, I'll get it to him. Or if it's a critique for the podcast, it's all about you guys. If we could change something to make it better, I'd love to do that. With that being said, me and Zach want to thank you all so much for watching or listening to this podcast. We'll see you in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.